Hello, this is Dr. Garrett Castleberry, Program Director for Communication, Media, and Ethics at Mid-America Christian University. I'm here with not a video discussion prompt, but rather a digital asynchronous response to your questions coming from the readings for COM 3533, Public Relations, Advertising, and Brand Management. We are swiftly moving into three main texts for this course. We are looking at, first and foremost, Arthur Asa Berger's Ads, Fads, and Consumer Culture, Advertising's Impact on American Character and Society. All right, long title. Speaking of long titles, we're also looking at Robin Blakeman's Integrated Marketing Communication, or IMC for short, Creative Strategy from Idea to Implementation. And finally, Marcel Denis's Popular Culture Introductory Perspectives. We'll be getting into that particular text a little bit later in the course. We sort of just mildly sample it and then visit larger portions in alternative classes, but for the purposes of the questions we cover this week, we'll be looking at Berger's text as well as Blakeman. All right, and where does the material come from? Our responses, they come from you, the student, and in addition to any other viewers, audiences out there enjoying our content, we want to engage students in an asynchronous manner using your weekly discussion questions, right? Which I've responded to in some form or another. And like all things in the universe, not everything is equally weighted, okay? Some questions may have more clarity than others. Some questions may have more open-endedness than others, all right? So it thus qualifies them for more of an open discussion, a discourse, if you will. And so what we've done, especially considering time purposes, is we can't, in a larger section like ours, we can't quite get to every question, but we want to hit some highlights, okay? We want to be able to generate some food for thought as we move through this course and as we're processing the readings from each of our key contributors, as well as other readings and ideas that we come across. So let's jump right into it. I want to begin with some questions from Megan. All right, let's check it out here. Megan asks, how common is false advertising today in the media for companies that encourage weight loss? All right, so softball question. We're going to start with, how common is false advertising in media? Well, make sure I don't say something too off color here. False advertising is bread and butter of marketing and advertising, and I mean, I'm saying that with a polite tone and a smile on my face, but it's more out of shock than anything, okay? A lot of advertising is a crucial key of communication, all right? We communicate through advertising, and it is a way to relay messages from producers to consumers. So it works not only like our communication model, but it also transmits a form of mass communication from one source to many people. And much of that communication is authentic, okay? It is accurate. And so I don't want us to get away from that. I think the danger of mislabeling some advertising is that we can easily get into conspiracy theory territory of all advertising is false advertising. All advertising is blatantly off the mark, and it's simply not true. However, I feel like we as a society are so inundated with ads, with images, with signs and symbols that we can get to a point of being bombarded, or we can get to a point of being calloused, and thus it creates new challenges for marketers and advertisers. Sometimes this leads to ethical decisions, ways to enhance the message about a product. Sometimes it can lead to misleading advertisements. All right, and so perhaps, as Megan is suggesting, weight loss ads could fall into either category. All right, I think one of the trickiest things about products that do market specific weight loss factors, health benefits is the human body is subjective, all right? Each of us have, of course, differing genetic codes, and some of us may be more susceptible to a certain weight gaining properties. Others of us may have variant genes, all right, that produce leaner bodies, all right? And so body type is largely a genetic makeup, although the products we consume do have an impact, right, without question. And because these circumstances vary so much, it's important to us to consider that marketing, advertising strategies cannot account for an entire audience. What is this? We've got a ghost in the room, even though we're in November, and we've lost... It's the ghost of advertising, as a matter of fact. We've lost Jim Achenson's cutting edge commercials. Jim, are you with us? What is happening here? We're losing books left and right. We must have stumbled onto something accurate, all right? So, spooky question from Megan to get us rolling here. Follow-up question. Are there consequences for false advertising, such as these faking these before after pictures? Oh, well, sure. But let's think about something. Class action lawsuits, all right? These are hard to win in many circumstances, and that data can be hard to substantiate, right? Something may help someone have positive benefits, but it's not necessarily the norm for everyone. And so marketers are keen on this. They know how to be aware of how much or how little to say, all right? And if you're not, that's when you do get into legal trouble, ethical trouble. And so this is why so many of our ads, as we jokingly get used to, carry those tiny disclaimers, right? Or the sped up words at the end of a commercial on the radio. You can barely hear it, and they speed through it, right? They're giving you the disclaimers. They're giving you the side effects of a pill, of something, of some product, and so we become savvy of this. To this as consumers, but we can easily become blind to it as well. And so, as someone studying these strategies, we want to open our eyes to it. We want to gain awareness so that we understand the layers, the communicative layers that go into advertising of all forms. Do you think it takes away from the legitimacy of an ad when companies use quote-unquote real customers to give their testimonies? I don't know. I think we could find in many texts that testimonials suggest ideas such as authenticity. Testimonials suggest relatability to a lot of clients and consumers. All right, so those are factors to consider. They could perhaps lessen the elitist presentation of a given text, depending on the spokesperson. Okay, but I think testimonials are part and parcel a strong tool if used right. And how believable are those testimonials? And the fact that or the fact that some do or do not use actors. Okay, and so that is something to consider, right? There are methods we can use to understand when an ad is using a sort of an actor, an actress, or a paid performer, in other words, as opposed to an authentic individual that represents something. Sometimes that fine line can be cut in a way that the testimonial, meaning the words communicated, all right, so the message articulated, does come from a real voice of a real user of a product. However, the words are delivered by a trained professional. Do you see that fine line? You see how that gets cut right down the middle? Oh, cut, right? Like cutting edge commercials? Yes, Jim, like cutting edge commercials. Okay. And they do that all the time. Product advertisers with physicians, right? A given physician may recommend a product. Doesn't mean they're the one on screen doing it. However, many marketers and advertisers, we understand the persuasive power and appeal of the white lab coat. Okay, just as we point out in the eye care lecture that we utilize for portions of this course, that is something to keep in mind. What is the exact difference between traditional marketing and integrated marketing? That is what we are reading to find out all about. All right, so the Blakeman text is about spelling that out for us, and I'll be a little bit cheeky, a little bit coy with my response there to say stay tuned. Let's keep reading. All right, but usually those introductory chapters are all about unpacking context. We can think of traditional marketing, and this is not the only. We had several individuals comment on this. Traditional marketing it comprises traditional mediums of mass communication. All right, print advertising, image advertising, billboards, and so on. Perhaps even radio, television, and then integrated marketing is a much more hands-on, grassroots approach to planning and executing marketing campaigns. What role does integrated marketing play in creating a brand's image as opposed to the role or impact of traditional marketing? Image management is important to both. I think that's something we can keep in mind, but good question, good inquiry there. Let's jump to a couple of quick questions from Emily, and then we'll take our first break in this video lecture series. Emily is looking at chapter 1 of Berger's Ads Fast Consumer Culture, and asking why is it that advertisements overly sexualize commercials? All right, and so to kind of rephrase what the question is there, we can look at one of the oldest adages in marketing, and we're not justifying it, we are simply looking at it. The old adage that sex sells. All right, this is an important factor. This is sort of marketing 101, and there are plenty of ethical concerns to come from this. But when we study the history of marketing, of brand management, etc., we will find a legacy of those types of principles being applied because they maximize consumer engagement. And the bottom line is, here's why. Okay, first of all, advertising is attempting to relate to people. And so what it's attempting to do is find the fastest, most effective strategies to make a human connection. That's what ads want to do, they seek to do. And so when we break down that phrasing sex sells, what we're understanding is that the allure and the sensationalism of such sensory heavy content is an immediate appeal to people at a primal level. Okay, so when we say primal, we mean it is hardwired into who we are. All right, base human instincts, and ads are trying to work feverishly to capitalize on that. And so when we say capitalize, we mean make money, right? Generate revenue. And I think that is the best way to explain why we see that, because ads are shortcuts. They are trying to do something really quick to make a buck. And what quicker way than to appeal to base instincts of people, and thus we see that type of strategy used over and over and over again, for better, for worse, what have you. And we can move away from it, but we're not likely to see it completely retire anytime soon. Let's take our first break. We'll be right back with more incredible questions for public relations, advertising, brand management, week 1 Q&A, asynchronous dialogue.